Welcome back to Leafs Nation After Dark. My name is Jason here, filling in for Zach tonight as he heads to the tropical north of Queensland to save some waterfall frogs from extinction. Admirable move from you, Zach. We salute you here. Nothing's going to change. I'm just here filling in for Zach, doing his duties. We're going to recap the game as we always do. Sorry about that. As we always do here on the Leafs Nation After Dark. Game 72 of the regular season. The Leafs win against the Washington Capitals by a score of 5-1 here. Overall, really impressed with this game, guys. Listen, nothing's changing here. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Let's get involved with the chat. I'm going to be looking at the chat throughout the show. If you're new here, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and let's just dive right into it. So first and foremost, I was pretty happy with this game. I think there was a lot to talk about heading into this game, a lot to respond to heading into this game, right? After, at least put up a pitiful performance last game, and I was watching the stream last show, and Zach was talking a lot about how response. We need to see a response, and I think tonight against maybe a lesser opponent, we've seen a pretty good response here. So I'm pretty happy with the game. Chat, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. A couple goals from Bertuzzi, McMahon pots one, Dewar pots one, and Gio pots one tonight. I mean, Bobby McMahon, he's been on fire. There's so much to talk about here. I'm really curious to see where you guys want to take this one. I'm going to kind of let chat take the lead here on this stream. So yeah, let's just dive right into it. Overall, felt pretty good about this game. Little worried heading in. I thought Matthews wasn't going to play. There were some murmurs, some rumors, some words on Twitter that Austin Matthews might have been a little bit under the weather, but nevertheless he played. And that first line of Matthews, Domi, Bertuzzi looked really, really, really strong tonight. Chat's a little delayed, guys. What's up, Phenom? What's up, Derek? What's up, Wilfred? What's up, Handshake Line Respect? We see you guys. Keep those comments coming. It's a little bit delayed for me here. We're going to try and work through that. Anyways, as I was saying, really happy with that first line. Curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on that first line as well. I mean, it feels like they've been clicking. Feels like Domi's kind of really slid in pretty well to replace Marner here over the past couple of games. Yeah, that line's been clicking a lot. Handshake Line Respect says Samsonov, we want Woll. I like that. This is a really good game, and I think, you know what, I'm gonna go off of what Dominic is saying right here. He says, see what happens when you play a little bit of D, and yeah, I agree with you. I feel like the Leafs have kind of been, they were poor defensively to start this year. They've kind of worked on it a little bit, but over the last couple of games, when you played a little bit of tougher opponents, they seem to really crumble under that pressure, under the forecheck of like a more a playoff style game. And I really think they honed it in tonight. And I thought they were doing really well with their breakouts. They're pretty steady overall. Anyways, for those who've joined a little bit later, I'm Jason. You can follow me on Twitter over at TakesByJ. Filling in for Zach tonight. Zach is off to, where did he go? He said he was going to the tropical north of Queensland, and he's going to save some waterfall frogs. No, I'm just kidding. Zach had an obligation tonight, couldn't make it. So yeah, filling in for Zach. So hopefully you guys enjoy the show tonight. Hopefully I can do as good of a job as Zach does. I probably won't, because Zach is an absolute stud with this. But yeah. Anyways, I'm all over the place here, guys. Chat's kind of got me a little disorganized. If you know me, I've been around here before. I've done a couple streams with Zach before. I do my own podcast as well, the Rink Rat Report. You can follow that on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you get podcasts. We're also on YouTube if you want to go check us out there. And then also follow on Twitter at Rink Rat Report. But enough about me. Let's get back to this game here. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this game, because again, as I was saying, a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. I really liked how the lines were flowing this game. I talked a little bit about the first line. Going into the second line, just, you know what, like, I've never really been a fan, and this might be controversial, but just me personally, never really been a fan of the Nylander-Tavares partnering. I've always thought that the two worked better separately than they did together. I always thought that Nylander and Tavares were both good enough players to carry their own line. I really thought Nylander deserved a chance to get his own line. And obviously over the past, for a long while now, he's been doing so, and he's done a very good job of that. But again, reunited once again tonight. And yeah, they look great. They look like they're clicking. John Tavares really has done a lot for over the past couple of games. He's really, really looked a lot better over the past couple of games here. I'm I'm pretty impressed with how he's played. I was really very critical of him early on in the season. Gonna start talking about the other lines as well. Just one more thing I wanted to touch on. Fourth line's been good as always, but the third line, I was really, really impressed with Matthew Knies tonight. Right? It's tough to remember that he's still a rookie, right? Like we gotta take everything he does with a grain of salt. And that, I mean, he's looked so much better away from Matthews and Marner against that, like not having to play against that tougher competition. He's looked so much more free against other teams' bottom six. He's done a really good job, and he's really taken this step forward here. I didn't listen. I don't, I'm not like he's still very early on in his career, and I don't want to be critical of him because I just think when he was on that first line, at times it felt like he was a little bit out of his depths. I feel like he was a little bit still trying to get accustomed to the NHL game. On top of that, he's not used to playing 82 games in a regular season. He's used to the college schedule, which is like 35-ish games, 39 if you end up making it far in the Frozen Four. But like he's done a really, really good job of, I think, of really kind of finding his own game and being a strong forechecker who's effective on both ends of the ice in the bottom six for us. So really happy for that. We have a super chat that I'm going to get around to. I apologize, guys. I'm going to do a better job of keeping an eye on the chat. So let's throw the super chat first. This one is from Maxenidus Decimus. I completely blended that. I apologize, Max. We're just going to call you Max here. Do you hear that? Neither do I. Bert haters silent. I love this. I absolutely love this because Zach talked about this last stream. I tuned in. I like to tune in as many times as I can, as often as I can. And I mean, it's crazy to think where we were like February. When was the trade deadline? March 3rd. It was crazy to think where we were like literally a month ago, 4 weeks ago, where people were talking about, hey, like it might be time to move on from Bertuzzi. It might be time to move on from Domi. These guys really haven't been cutting it for us. And you know what? Like that's a fair criticism of them because they weren't getting points. But I felt like Bertuzzi, at the very least, was doing as good of a job as you can without scoring. Listen, the scoring was going to come, and it eventually did. As you can see tonight, 2 goals, did a great job there. But I feel like Bertuzzi is the type of guy that you want on this team. And I was shocked that so many people wanted him gone. I get that people like to look at point totals, but he does so many different things that impact the game outside of scoring. And on top of that, we knew he was a good scorer. He was just snake bitten all year. And it's so good to have him back here. It's so good to have him back. So Max, thank you for that super chat there. Really appreciate it. Reminder, you can drop a super chat. If you're on YouTube, just hit that little button beside the chat to allow yourself to get a super chat here. Anyways, someone was asking in the chat, said chat a lot of times. Someone was asking in the chat, do I have smelling salts? Max, yes, I do. You know what's good? Zach told me I was coming on. I got the smelling salts. So I think Zach sets around 100 likes. If we can hit 100 likes tonight, I'm going to do smelling salts for you guys. So if you can do that, that'd be fantastic. I know Zach would really appreciate it. Listen, he's doing his best trying to save those tree frogs, whatever type of frogs I said. So yeah. Yeah, Zach actually is on the shitter again, is what Massett says. And he actually fell in and he's gone now. So anyways, a lot to talk about after this game. And I'm curious, chat, I'm gonna try and get you guys more involved here. So Woll played tonight. I thought he had a stellar performance, played really well, was super steady. I was getting a little bit worried about Joseph Woll over the past couple of games because since his return from injury, feels like he's kind of lost his mojo, lost his swagger. Not that he had that, that he kind of carried himself like that. He seems like a more quiet guy, but it seems like he lost a little bit of confidence there. Right? He's had a couple games where he's been letting in a little bit softer goals, letting in goals from distance, which didn't really feel like him. And it was good to see tonight that he was playing a lot better. Just quickly to bounce off the Woll thing. Someone said Zach does it after every 10 likes. Okay, so I'll do one right now because we're at 13 likes. If we can get to 20, I'll do another one again. I think these might be cooked, but these are a little later than I remember. But maybe I got to get them started again. Anyways, back to Joseph Woll. Joseph Woll, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on how Joseph Woll played tonight, number one. Number two, his performance in the past couple of weeks returning from injury. And the third thing I want to hear from you guys is the Woll versus Samsonov debate. Who's going to start game one in the playoffs? Because that's something that I've kind of been going back and forth on recently, but all season, like before Woll got injured, I was like, hey, Woll has to be our game one starter. He is the bet. I believe he is a more skilled goaltender than Ilya Samsonov is. That's what I truly believe. I think he's better. Listen, I'm not a good goalie evaluator. I don't know much about goaltending. My forte is more in player evaluation, but goaltending is not for me. I believe goaltending is voodoo, but just from the way I watched Joseph Woll play, how steady he is in the net, his ability to track pucks, his ability to not overcommit to pucks, which I find Samsonov doing a few times, that kind of gets him out of position. I find Joseph Woll is just better at being a more steady goaltender, and I think that's what we need in the playoffs. But recently now, Joseph Woll feels like he's been losing his way a little bit, which has kind of brought me back to say, hey, you know what? Maybe Joseph Woll shouldn't be the starter in game one. Maybe it should be Ilya Samsonov. Now, Ilya Samsonov, was it last game or two games ago now, pulled his calf, I believe. So the Mr. Grave. All right. I see you. The Mr. Gravery treatment from Key and Peel. Yeah, I'm getting that right now. Yeah, I just think Samsonov pulled his calf last game. You know, he was 2 games ago. Sorry, pulled his calf. Looked really good though since he got sent down from waivers. He's back to an .889 save percentage, which is crazy because considering he was at around an .850 with like 15 games. So to rubber band that save percentage back, you got to be doing a lot of good things here. But again, he did get down to that 880, like that 850 save percentage before. So, I mean, he didn't look good to start the season. He's looked good recently. Samsonov is so hot and cold. So I'm curious what you guys think. Who should be the game one starter for the Leafs in the playoffs? Is it Woll? Is it Samsonov? And Mike Battston. Mike Battston. Listen, I don't know if you're like a troll from Boston saying Murray starts game one. Are you insane? I'm sorry. Are you insane? Like, are you actually insane, Mike? Is this, I hope this is a joke. Like, what are we doing here? I don't know if you guys saw the Twitter post that the Leafs Twitter put out with Murray coming back to practice, but there was not a single save in that little 30-second video clip of him taking shots. There was pucks going through him. It looked like he was the goaltender you tie to your net when you're a kid because you don't have anyone who wants to play goalie. So you just got to tie it on and then you just shoot for anywhere and you'll score. Oh my goodness. If Matt Murray is starting for us in the NHL playoffs, I don't even know if I'll be able to watch the game. I will be physically ill. So no Matt Murray. Please, for the love of God, no Matt Murray. Listen, I hope him all the best. I hope he's recovering from his injury well. But I think some catastrophic stuff would have to happen for Matt Murray to play. For me, at least, like Martin Jones is way, way ahead of him. I'd rather start Dennis Hildeby over him in the playoffs. There's just no way, no freaking way I would ever start Matt Murray. The chat going off right now. Patrick saying he wants Woll. Mike saying he wants Woll. Mike, okay, I see you. You were trolling me. You got me, okay? You freaking got me. That's okay. I'll let it pass this time. I'm like, Snake Pliskin is also saying Woll. Palmface is an interesting point here. He said, I think Sammy should start game one because he was big for us last year in the playoffs. And if he's bad in game 1 and 2, then go with Woll. Palmface, I think that's a pretty good, that's like rational reasoning to come around to. On top of that, like I said, like Samsonov has done a real good job over the past couple. Like, I mean, I don't want to say he's like saved, like he's not saved our season by any means. He kind of put us in a tough spot to begin with. But when Joseph Woll got hurt, like we kind of needed someone to answer the bell. Martin Jones was doing well for a little bit. He played, I think, like 15-ish games for us, 20-ish games for us. Did pretty well, but I mean, he Samsonov needed to step up, or else our team would be like, we would be a lot like Tampa would be ahead of us in the wild card spot right now, and we would be in the wild card spot. Tampa would probably be third. So Sammy coming back was, I think, really big for us. So yeah, very interesting here. Robert saying if Murray starts, I will not tune in. Robert, I am on the same wavelength as you. I feel you. A lot more people saying Woll. Yeah, Sammy game one. It's really tough to say, right? Because it's a question of do you reward the goaltender who's done better for you recently, or do you give it to the guy who's probably more talented, has a higher ceiling, but is a little bit younger, a little bit greener, like more new to the playoff experience? Someone mentioned earlier as well, I think it was Palmface. Yes, Palmface. You mentioned in the playoffs, Samsonov was good for us in the playoffs. I agree with you, but also Joseph Woll was pretty good for us as well. Joseph Woll did a pretty good job filling in for us late in that Florida series when kind of shit hit the fan there for us. Listen, I know we didn't win. I know we weren't able to pull out the series win. We only won one game in that series, but still, like, I thought he did a pretty good job. So yeah, a lot to think about here. A lot to think about here when it comes to the goaltending situation for for the Leafs. Derek Gamble saying Murray's is fourth in line. Maybe. I'm for me, he's fifth in line. And honestly, if it got to number 5, they can give me a call. I've never played goalie in my life. They can give me a call and I'll step in and I'd rather play goalie for them. Put it on me, coach. Put me in there. But yeah, I should, God, if I see Matt Murray put on a Leafs uniform in like a regulation game, in a real game, like, oh my gosh, find me in the bottom of Lake Ontario. Just kidding, obviously. Don't want to joke about that stuff. But anyways, just want to give a quick reminder, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, smash that like button. I'm doing these honestly aren't the best smelling salts. I'll do one every 10 likes. I know Zach does it for every 100, but these are weak. These are weak sauce. So maybe I need to keep shaking them up so they get. Okay, maybe. Okay, I underestimated them a bit. The more I shake them, the worse they get. So yeah, we're gonna bump it up to every 20. Okay, we're not gonna do every 10. That one was a little bit tough. We're gonna do them every 20 now. I'm trying to keep my composure here. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to hit that like button. Yeah. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts on the game. I kind of took us off on a little bit of a tangent there with Woll versus Samsonov. Curious to hear your thoughts on the game. A lot of talk about Bertuzzi, and I think I missed. You know what? I missed another super chat from Max. Like, send me out for the rookie lap. Producer. Send me out for a rookie lap out here because I can't believe I missed a super chat from Matt. I apologize. Vicken, yeah, if you're listening, send me out for that rookie lap. But Max is saying sniff it. Zach would. I mean, I did it twice for you already. So did I miss the super chat? I guess not. I guess not. Yeah, a lot of talk about Murray. Phenom saying Zach does it for every 50. Guys, give me a straight answer here. Like, I'm the new kid on the block. I'm the rookie. You guys got to be honest with me. What are you trying to kill me out here? Come on. Mike Batston. I was about to say Mike from Boston. Mike Batston saying Gio gets the belt tonight. I love that. What a game from Mark Giordano. What a freaking game from Mark Giordano. Like, couldn't be happier for the guy. But it brings up a couple interesting questions. So obviously, as you know, Mark Giordano suffered a brutal concussion a couple games ago, crashing to the boards. I was at that game. It was like crazy to see, like, just watching that in real time. It was like, shit, man, like that. He hit the boards hard. And on top of that, 40 years old, like not getting any younger. One of the oldest players to ever play for the Leafs. I mean, what a night for him. First game back. On top of that, in the time of his concussion. Sorry, super sad to hear his father passed away, which is never easy. So thinking about Mark Giordano through this, because you know what? First game back, comes in, takes an absolute rip and scores. Shout out to Mark Giordano for that one. That was honestly a real good moment to see. My eyes were sweating a bit. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw him point to the sky there, that was like a nice, beautiful moment that, like, you know, for as much as we love the Leafs and all the craziness that around it and how much we talk about loving them, hating them, all that stuff, it's sometimes good to remember that there's more important things than the game itself. And that's one of those moments. So shout out to Mark Giordano, thinking about you tonight. So hopefully he gets that belt. Hopefully someone let me know if they post the belt pick on Twitter, because that shit will go hard. The belt picks have been going absolutely crazy this year. I've been loving those. So yeah, chat. Thank you guys so much for finally being honest with me. 50 likes and we get another smelling salt. Well, listen, we're at 32. I've already done 2. We can do one more if we hit 40, and then we'll do the next one at 100. Is that okay? You guys tell me if that's okay. Just give me like a thumbs up in the chat and I'll know that it's okay, and we'll go from there. Zach is going to watch this one back when he lands in Queensland, and he's going to absolutely love it. I agree with you. I really do agree with you. Robert, you're bringing up an interesting question here. I'm going to lean a little bit more into it. Rob, you want to go with Riley and McCabe on PP1. I think that's a little interesting. Um, More so because two defensemen on the power play seems a little inefficient to me, but also when you break it down, I can see where you're coming from. I'm curious how you would deploy them. But yeah, the power play just hasn't been doing it for us recently. Let's be honest here. I don't know. I know Mitch Marner is a very polarizing player in Leafs Nation, but one thing's for certain is he really helps that power play hum from entries to just being able to move the puck on the power play, just being more of a passer on the power play. Because when you have Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, and Bertuzzi, you kind of have you have you have too many shooters. As weird as it sounds, it's not a bad thing to have too many shooters, but yeah, I'm curious. I really think the power play, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I'm not worried about it because I think it's going to correct itself once Marner comes back. I think it's one of those things where we're in a dip on the power play right now, just not generating as much as we normally would. Just one of those ebbs and flow things on top of also missing Mitch Marner as well, who's a pretty good power play player. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about the power play. One thing I would change is I think Domi should maybe just send out the feeler of Domi on power play 1, let's just see what happens. Yeah. Like he seems to fit. He seems like a Marner light in the way that he plays in the offensive zone, in the sense that he's a pass first player, doesn't have the same vision, doesn't have the same, uh, scanning ability of identifying passes before they happen. He kind of just looks and fires it, but he still has good puck skills, good talent to be a good passer for the Leafs there, especially if they want to use them in that lower role where they go the low high pass, which Marner was doing a lot early in the season. I think that was really effective. I don't like when they try and force it through the middle. I really like when they have a guy kind of at the post beside the net and they have options to give it to the flanker or give it to the guy in the bumper. So yeah, it's a lot of things to think about on the power play here. Just going to take a look at the chat after I did my own diatribe about the Leafs power play. 5 forwards: Domi, Burt, Matthews, Marner, and McCabe, power play 1. Derek not liking the five forward idea. Okay, fair enough. Domi, Burt, Matthews, Marner, and McCabe. Interesting. No Nylander on the power play is interesting. I personally really like Nylander on the power play. I think he does a really good job on the flank, on the boards, and I really like Matthews in the bumper spot because it kind of forces the power play to collapse in on Matthews, right? And gives you a ton of space for the guys on the outside. So yeah, it's an interesting look. It's very interesting to look at the power play tactically. I always like to look at the game like that. So yeah, Domi for Nylander is interesting. I think that's a little bit too pass first for me of a power play, but I do like the idea of McCabe on PP1. Listen, I love Morgan Riley. I think he's a great player, obviously. But I don't not a fan of his puck skill on the point on the power play. I think he doesn't have a deceptive pass. He doesn't have a strong shot. He doesn't have any tools in his belt to kind of create lanes for the other players on the ice. So kind of leaning toward listen, he's been there for the entire time. Don't mess it up. I wouldn't overreact to these last couple of games. I think the power play is doing okay. I really, really do. But yeah, I think we just kind of leave it as is. The main thing for me for Riley is one of the things that he does really well is his skating ability and his ability to exit our zone and enter other teams' zones. And obviously with how they set up the zone entry on the power play, I know a lot of people don't like it with the drop pass. Yeah, it doesn't really it's almost like a waste of one of Riley's best ability, right? Whereas if he's on maybe the second power play, he'd be the puck transporter there for the team. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Riley on the power play. But also, who are you really replacing him with? McCabe. Would McCabe really do that much better? Good point, Derek. There, would McCabe do that much better? Yeah. Stoic Nature saying that the Leafs mutants are the key to what? Playoff success? I think so. Maxentis. I'm just Max. It's Max. Sorry, I'm just calling you Max. It's too hard. Yeah, I think it would look good with Domi, Marner, Matthews. I wouldn't hate a 5-4 power play where you have Marner playing the role where Riley is, or even we kind of did that for a bit last year, thinking back with Bunting on the net front, And that kind of led to a lot of penalty kill chances against, power play chances against. So it's like a little bit of, I'm a little conflicted on that, because I was talking about that with my co-host Piz on the Rink Rat Report on the last show. We were talking about the prospects of in the playoffs if we should go 5 forwards on the power play. And it's like, yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea in theory, but then you remember, like, shit, we gave up a lot of chances. And like, do we really want to be giving up a special teams a goal, a PK goal in the playoffs? Like that'd be so decimating. Maxentis Decimus. I apologize, Max. I'm gonna go with Maxentis Decimus. I'm a little bit, I don't know. Maybe it's hard for me. Words are hard for me tonight at 10:11 at night. Anyways, I'm bouncing around a bit. If Keefe can figure out D-man pairings, Leaf will go a long way this year. Wilfred, I like that point. I'm gonna pivot off of that what we were talking about there, the power plays, and I want to pivot to the defenseman, because when I brought up that Maxentius. Okay, my bad, Max. When I talked about Giordano earlier, I wanted to talk about the defensive pairings, because the Leafs have now 9, I think, legit. Let's call it 8. Let's call it 8 legit NHL defensemen who could play for them in the playoffs. And hey, guess what? You can only dress 6, right? You got Morgan Rielly, TJ Brody, Jake McCabe, Timothy Liljegren, Joel Edmondson, Mark Giordano, Benoit, and Lyubushkin. Those are the 8. Connor Timmins, listen, I like his game. I like his play. We haven't seen enough of him yet. He's still very green as an NHL player, even though he's 26 years old, or 25 turning 26. He only has 85 games played. I think next year is going to be the real test for him. It's kind of a similar thing to what we saw, not really with Benoit, because Benoit really only played his first full season last year. He had, I think around 80-ish games as well. Maybe about 100 games, maybe about 120 games. So different style of players, but like similar kind of maybe not similar development path, but similar in the sense of how green they were as players. So anyways, getting off topic here, let's go back to the discussion that we had on hand. Morgan Rielly, TJ Brody, Jake McCabe, Timothy Liljegren, Connor Timmins, Joel Edmondson, Simon Benoit, and Ilya Lyubushkin. So, man, this is like tough, because off the hop, like Giordano, I don't think he's done this year. He didn't look that good, but I mean, how can you take that guy out right now? He just scored, coming back from a concussion. He looks good to go. In my head, he was the ideal 7th defenseman for the Leafs. So let's slot him in there. Let's say that in the playoffs, Mark Giordano unfortunately gets bumped as a result of either Joel Edmondson coming in, or I don't know, or Timothy Liljegren coming in. That kind of leaves us with a couple other 7 players to deal with. Morgan Rielly, he's obviously going to play. He's locked in. I know people like the Rielly-McCabe combo, and I could be convinced with a little bit more time here. But I really, really think, and maybe I'm just being super simple with this, but also, like, you don't want to overcomplicate things. We're only we have 10 games left to the playoffs. How much more can we see? How much more can we extrapolate from seeing different pairings right now? I think the best thing to do would be set pairings, get them to gel, get them to do well together. And for me, the best way to do that is just rolling the simplest thing. And Palm Face brings it up in the chat. Rielly Bush, Benoit McCabe. That's it for me. It's as simple as that. I think that's the top 4 you need. Benoit and McCabe can eat a little bit of the dirtier minutes in the playoffs, and we're going to need them to do that. But listen, they're big guys. They're long. They can defend in zone. So if you're worried about other teams having extended O-zone possession, they're big enough to clear the front of the net. They're strong enough to clear the front of the net. Give your goalie a good sight line on the puck so that he can save the puck. And yeah, I feel like those 2 lines should almost be locked in. Rielly and Lyubushkin, we've seen it work 2 years ago in the playoffs and in the regular season. We've seen it work this year. It just makes sense. To me, it makes sense. I don't think Benoit should be our 7th D. Mike, I know you're saying that. I don't think he's earned the right to be on the first. Just based on this year, he's earned the right to be playing that first, just for that first game. I don't know if you should scratch Brody. I don't know if you should scratch Edmondson. I don't know if you should scratch Liljegren. Someone in the chat is asking about 11 and 7. I wouldn't do that. I think our forward group is deep enough where you kind of don't want to roll 11 and 7. You want to stick with 12-6. Listen, I really think with what Benoit's done this year, he's an RFA. He's under team control for at least 2 more years. Like this is a guy. This is like found gold for the Leafs. I feel like this is the one. This like he's played really well for us, and it's not that it's flown under the radar, but the fact that you're able to get a guy who last year played 78 games. Listen, I'm an analytics guy. I like to look at I like to use analytics to help inform my opinion. I also like to watch the game too. And people were calling this one of the worst signings in history. People saying Simon Benoit was one of the worst defensemen in the NHL last year. Right now, it's been a complete 180. If you look at those same numbers that said he was the worst defenseman in the NHL last year, he's in the 80th percentile among defensemen in defensive metrics right now. He's been really good for us. He's been really, really good for us and strong defensively. And it kind of brings you with a question. Who do you like? What type of defenseman do you want in the playoffs? Do you want a guy who's able to play 2 ways and might be a little bit worse defensively? Or do you want a guy who's basically a black hole on offense, but it can do the right things on defense, keep a simple game where it's either a reverse to your partner or a chip off the glass and get the puck out, not overcomplicate things, not giving the puck up in your own zone, strong enough to clear the front of the net, strong enough on his stick to disrupt passes through the middle, strong enough on his stick to disrupt players trying to enter the zone, things like that. Like that's the kind of player that I want in the playoffs. That's rather than the guy who can potentially play 2 ways. So that leads us to the third line here. It's tough to say. So for me, let's assume you're going with Edmundson, Brody, or Liljegren. I like Liljegren. I think he's looked really well. The problem is we're now in year 4 of the same thing happening over and over again, where maybe it didn't happen so much in year 1, but maybe it didn't happen so much in year 2, but now in year 3 and year 4, it's like, okay, Liljegren, there's space for you. We're opening it up. You got to go up and grab it, right? You got to take that space. We only have two right-handed defensemen on our roster. The opportunity is there for you to become a top 4 defenseman. The opportunity is there. You just got to take it. You just got to play like it. And he does a lot of good things when he's on the ice. Don't get me wrong. He's very good in transition. He's not great offensively, but he has some offensive aptitude in the offensive zone. He has some good tools in the offensive zone. The problem is he's again, don't like to be the guy who talks about size, but he's undersized for a defenseman. He's a little small, and he's not as strong as you'd like him to be. So he really struggles tracking in front of the net, disrupting guys in front of the net, getting under stick, clearing the sight lines for your goal. He does struggle a little bit with that in our own zone. So that's one issue I have with him. Number 2, when he's under pressure, he's a good puck mover, but when he's under pressure, he has a really bad habit of making what I like to call big event negative plays. So what a big event negative play is, just something that is like a turnover in the slot, right? Something that creates like a massive negative for your team. Very simple, massive negative for your team that you just don't want to happen. And if I had the choice between that, I'd rather have someone who's less skilled than Timothy Liljegren is, maybe a little bit worse than Timothy Liljegren, but doesn't give up those big event negative plays, which often lead to goals. That's what I'm worried about with Timothy Liljegren here. That's my issue with him. I know what the stats are. I know exactly brain farts, right? 519 fishing. That's another way to put it. It's a brain fart, but it's like, I think it's a better way of categorizing things, because it kind of, it's a better descriptor, I think, of events. So I like Liljegren as a player. I really wish he would step up and do a little bit more. But right now, for me, like it's got to be some form of Edmundson or TJ Brody on that third line, simply for the fact that like Joel Edmundson, like, listen, he's not skilled. He's nowhere near as good of a puck mover as Timothy Liljegren. He's not going to help us get the puck out of the zone. But guess what? Like, a lot of people were saying that the Leafs really struggled last year retrieving pucks. The defensemen struggled retrieving pucks and promoting the pucks to the forward in the playoffs. That's true, right? But and from that, people were very critical of the Leafs. And I'm not saying you, chat. I know you guys think a little bit differently. I'm just talking about the general Twitter sphere here. A lot of them were very critical of our moves at the deadline, saying, hey, you got 2 guys who aren't good puck movers. That's your problem. You need good puck movers. Well, if they didn't get those two guys, the alternative was the same lineup that you were trotting out last year. So if the Leafs' problem defensively was not being able to retrieve pucks and not being able to promote the puck to your forwards, guess what? We're going to have that same problem this year anyways. But the difference now is that we got two guys who are much bigger, much stronger, better at defending defending zone entry, and also are, I think this is super important and super underrated in the playoffs, really good at clearing the front of the net. There's a lot, like, don't take my word for this. I should probably look at the numbers, but I wouldn't doubt that there's more goals scored within that within the slot in the playoffs than there are in the regular season. I'd be almost 100% certain that there's more goals coming in tight than there are coming from afar, just because of the nature of the playoffs. So the question is, would you rather? Do you want players like that in your defense? And yes, that's the issue. That's the issue. So and yeah, drift water, Dr. Firewater. Sorry. Wow. That's good. Completely butchered that name. He's saying, listen, defense and D zone exits were the issue last year. I agree with you. But again, it would still be the issue this year because it's the same team. It's the same picture, right? Pam meme. It's the same picture. It's the same picture. So I'm happy with I'm happy with Joel Edmondson drawing in here for the team. So yeah, really, really happy with the lineup. Hope you guys, let me scroll through the chat because I went on my little rant here and I feel like I'm leaving you guys out of this and I apologize. Listen, if we can get a couple more likes here, going to get the smelling salts going. And yeah, just I agree with what it seems like the chat is agreeing with me here, saying Lily and Brode 7-8D man. Well, with Wilford, that's a little bit bold. Listen, I like Giordano's play tonight, but I still think that Brody's earned his way on the third line. My thing with Brody is that he hasn't looked good against tougher competitions this year. I think if you put him in a third line role, if you put him against other teams' bottom six, I really think that he would do a lot better. I think his issue right now is that he's 34, and as you get older in the NHL, the second you lose like a half second of foot speed, it's gone. Like you're gone. Like you're being a half second behind the game. Your body can only do so much for you, right? Your positioning, your brain can only do so much for you. You kind of need that foot speed. He's at the age now where he's going to start to deteriorate. So if you can maybe put him against a little bit weaker competition where his brains, his ability with the stick, his positioning can kind of make up for that lack of foot speed, I would be okay with that. I would at least test it out. A lot of people, like I'm seeing some Brody sucks. Brody has no heart. Listen, I will say something that we need to take into account here with TJ Brody. It hasn't been an easy offseason for him. He lost his father this past offseason. He hasn't seemed to be right since that. And I don't know if that's affecting him. Maybe he needs a break as a result of that. But that's not, of course, not an easy thing to go through. And you always want to think of a player and what's happening on the other side in his personal life. Like, don't want to get too involved in their personal life, obviously. But like, listen, that happened to him. So it's something to consider here. So yeah, it's a real tough season for TJ Brody. It is, but I would be comfortable with him being on the third line. We're going to get into the grades of the game shortly. And we're going to get into the play of the game shortly. There's a lot more viewers watching now. So if you guys are enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Zach will be back tomorrow. Not tomorrow. What is it? Saturday? What day is today? Today's Thursday. Today's Thursday. So Zach will be back on Saturday filling in. Doing his stuff as he always does here for Game 73. So if you guys enjoy this content, make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe to the Leafs Nation. And hey, if you like what I'm talking about here, go follow me on Twitter at TakesByJ. At TakesByJ, TAKES by J. That's my Twitter handle. Tweet a lot about the Leafs. Tweet a lot about other stuff too. So if you like the Leafs, follow me. And if you love hockey, I can't announce anything yet, but I have been working on something in the pipeline. Can't announce anything yet. I wish I could on this show live. Pretty big audience here. Pretty cool to be able to announce that live. But follow me because if you enjoy hockey tactics, I think it'd be something that's right up your alley. And it's probably going to be coming around in the summer. So make sure you're following me for those updates there. Just got to give a quick little plug to myself. And I appreciate you guys for sticking around here for so long. There's about 75 of you guys watching right now. So appreciate you. And if you can, and you haven't already, hit that like button and I'll hit the smelling salts for you guys right here. So 48 likes. Come on, 2 more people. Just hit the like button so we can get to the smelling salts already. All right. Let's do this thing. And we hit it. All right. Oh. All right. That one's going to keep me up tonight. That one will keep me up tonight. If there's any way we can hit 100, that would be crazy. But I'll be doing another one if we hit 100 here. So anyways, before we get into the play of the game and the grade of the game, I don't know if you guys subscribe to this channel, you saw Zach post a video earlier today talking about his Bet99 bet of the day. Guys, if you're looking for a local Canadian sportsbook, Bet99 is your local Canadian sportsbook and online casino built by Canadians for Canadians. They have top-tier customer service, fast payouts, and smooth transaction. Bet99 should be your choice of sportsbook. 19 plus, please play responsibly, and only available to persons in Ontario. Guys, just a quick reminder, don't bet with stuff you cannot afford to lose. Guys, set a bankroll aside. Please always play responsibly. If you need any help playing responsibly, or if you need any problem gambling help, reach out to the problem gambling line at Connex Ontario. Or again, if you're looking for some betting advice on how to bankroll, how to manage a proper bankroll and set aside an amount that you're willing to lose, feel free to hit me up in the DMs. I'm always happy to help, always happy to chat with you guys there. So anyways, back to the Bet99 talk. Listen, I wanted to come on here and roast the shit out of Zach for his pick. I really hoped he picked something shit. He picked Tavares power play point plus 250, put a half unit on it, 50 to win 125. It didn't hit, but at the same time, I actually quite like this bet. I like this bet. I like this bet for Zach here. I talked to him earlier. He told me that in his thought process, he placed it. He recorded it earlier in the day. It had more value earlier in the day because we didn't know if Matthews was playing. If Matthews wasn't playing, this is a smash bet. This is a fantastic value bet. But unfortunately, of course, Matthews plays. Still like it regardless of that. The thing is, I talked about the power play earlier. I really think it's one of those things where it ebbs and flows, and we're in the valley before we hit the peak. And at some point, we're going to start getting that uptick. And Tavares plays in that front. So, Zach, you lost the bet, but I hate it. I hate that it's a good bet. So, good stuff, Zach. Good stuff there for the play of the game. So, we're going to have to track that one as a loss, unfortunately. But, again, I think it was a good play. You're not going to win them all. Did Zach shave? CP Howitzer. Yes, he did. All right. Chat, I don't know if you guys are ready for this, but let's dive in to the play of the game. If you guys want to let me know what your play of the game was, I'd love to read it in the chat down below. So yeah, drop your play of the game here. And don't forget to smash that like button. Let's see if we can get to 60 before the end of the show. So I know Zach does this every time. I came prepared with this one. I talked a little bit about it earlier. It made me tear up. I'm not going to lie. The Mark Giordano goal. How can you not go with the Mark Giordano goal for the play of the game? Absolutely beautiful moment. Puts the Leafs on the scoreboard. First goal of the game. Coming out of a concussion. His father recently passed away. Points to the sky after he scores. Can't help but just absolutely feel like elated for him. Super happy for him. So, yeah. Congrats to Mark Giordano for that. Good stuff on him. And also, the second oldest Leaf player to register a goal. Mark Giordano at 40 years of age and about 116 days. Mark Giordano, the second oldest Leaf to register a goal. Whatever happens to him next season, if he chooses to stay with us, if he chooses to retire, I'm honestly just happy he was able to wear that Leafs uniform for a little bit here. Looking at the chat right now, seems like a couple of you guys are in agreement with me. I appreciate that. Robert Smith likes the Bert's bank shot. I like that one too. Listen, if the Mark Giordano goal wasn't as sentimental as it was, I probably would have gone with the Bert bank shot. Derek saying, yep, the Gio goal. Phenom saying, yep, the Gio goal. Mike saying the Tavares assists were Domi, but Gio scored first. I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Anyways, chat's going off on this one. So yeah, that was my play of the game. Honorable mention. Listen, this is like a small play. This is like nothing came out of it. But just in the second period, when John Tavares sent that pass to William Nylander and he received it on his backhand, that's like, it's not play of the game because it didn't really come to nothing really happened as a result of it. but that was just freaking disgusting the way he received that pass. He was like, he caught it between his legs and just like, that's just some insane skill that like, it just reminds me of how like truly talented this team is. I know that's corny to say, but like, man, we got some really fucking skilled players on this team. And yeah, like that was good stuff from William Nylander. Didn't come to anything, but like that was honestly one of the craziest ways to receive a pass. Like the fact that he's been able to do that, absurd. So those were my plays of the game. Yeah, Domi was so close to Phenom. You know what? If Domi scored on that breakaway, there was a little bit more contention for goal of the game here. I feel like Domi's been snake bitten as well with the posts and the crossbars. Him and Bertuzzi just, you know what? Hopefully that regression comes and they are able to score a little bit more in the playoffs here. So yeah, guys, drop your plays of the game in the chat. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Chat's still going off about Brody. Guys, you know what? I love Brody. He hasn't played well this year. Give him a break. It's all good. We'll figure out what the lines are. We'll figure it out eventually. And if it doesn't work out, we're deep enough where we have multiple options. So don't stress. We got this, guys. We got this. So yeah, palm face. Play of the game was the announcer blowing the goal horn on Domi's breakaway. That was almost dud of the game because listen, I love when the announcers do that. Play that goal horn if you think it's a goal. But also, half the team stopped playing. And the Capitals almost got a breakaway the other way, and they almost scored. If they scored, that would have been brutal. Before we get into the grade of the game, quick question from Patrick here in the chat. Who starts on Saturday? I would probably say, like, you just had Woll play 2 games. You're going to have a 2-day rest here for Joseph Woll. So it's not too big of a deal if Joseph Woll starts. Wouldn't hate to see him start down the stretch. If you're worried about Joseph Woll starting 3 games over, what was it, 7 days, 6 days? If you're worried about 3 games over 6 days, I would personally look towards Martin Jones. And the only reason why I say I'd look towards Martin Jones is with Samsonov having that calf issue, give him however much time you think he needs to return, just give him double that. Give him double that because we're too close to the playoffs now to even risk a re-injury here. So I don't want to see Sammy come in if he's not ready. Even if they think he is ready, give him another game. So yeah, I think I'm good with Joseph Woll or Martin Jones starting. And like, I don't know, maybe you got to give Martin Jones a couple reps before the playoffs start, just in case. You never know what happens. But realistically, I think it's probably going to be Samsonov if he's ready. If not, if he's not ready, if he wasn't ready and it was going to be Samsonov, I'd rather see Martin Jones in, just because, again, if he's hurt. So yeah, let's move on to the grade of the game here. Chat, let me know your grade of the game. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Listen, the Capitals are making a playoff push right now. But I don't know how I want to say it's an A-. This is an A- game. I really think this is an A- game. Leafs are still, listen, we got to take into account that the Leafs are kind of struggling through injury right now, right? No Mitch Marner, no Calle Yarncrook. Matthews was potentially hurt enough where he wasn't going to play the game. Maybe we weren't sure about if he was going to play or not, right? No Timothy Liljegren, who we said we were going to scratch earlier in the show, but we're not going to talk about that, right? Listen, I thought this was an A- game from the team. They dominated wire to wire against the Capitals. Power play wasn't the best tonight. We only got one opportunity, though, so could we really judge ourselves on that? Didn't give up any special teams goals, but also didn't score any. Woll stood on his head. Woll played well. Looked like he got his confidence back. And we smacked around a team that's looking to make the playoffs right now. Listen, they're obviously not in the upper echelon of the league. Washington Capitals, not a top 10 team, but hey, Leafs have struggled in the past with beating lesser opponents. They did good character win here, especially good response considering last game and how the team kind of collapsed against the Devils. So, yeah, happy with this response. Chat, it looks like a lot of A. 6 1/3 says A. Robert Smith says B. Snake Pliskin says B+. Patrick G Mafia A. Palm Face A. Yeah, I agree with you guys. We're all around the same spot here, around A-, B, A. I'm happy. I'm happy. I have the pulse of the Leafs Nation crowd here. So, just quick reminder before we head out, guys. Before we log off, just want to give a quick reminder. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let's get when Zach watches this. Can we get to like 65 likes so he's not disappointing me, guys? There's 70 people watching right now. That means if everyone clicks the like button, we should be at least at 70 likes. So you know what? Smash that thumbs up button. And just for you guys who are not watching the show live and watching it after, if you guys can please get that like button up, get those likes up, I'd really appreciate it. That one's for you guys, okay? That one is for you guys. So anyways, grades of the game. Yeah, A- for me. Chat's in agreement here. So yeah, listen, I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Apologies if some of you guys were expecting Zach and you got to see this ugly mug instead, but I hope you stuck around for the ride. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed my opinions on the Leafs. I'd love to come back on and talk with Zach as much as I can this year because yeah, we talked a lot throughout. Listen, we talk all the time off screen, but on screen we talked a lot through the games, doing some live shows and stuff. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for accepting me as your host for tonight's game. Really, really do appreciate it. Want to remind everyone that Zack Phillips will be back here on Saturday after the game versus Buffalo. If anyone's heading out to Buffalo, let me know. Hit me up. If you guys want to find my stuff regularly, you can head over to the Rink Rat Report podcast. You can find that on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get podcasts. Just talk about the Leafs weekly. We like to be not analytically, but we like to be a little bit more centrist about the Leafs. We like to try kind of keep a steady keel and keep a steady keel on the Leafs, on what's going on around Leafs Nation here. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. If you want to check that out, go check that out. Rink Rat Report podcast. You can also follow the Rink Rat Report on Twitter. If you guys are ever out missing a game, I know you guys are crazy. You probably won't be missing games this year, but if you ever miss a game, yeah, you should check it out. We usually post clips of the game. Tons of awesome stuff there. So yeah, go check us out on Twitter at the Rink Rat Report. And then also follow me on Twitter, Takes by Jay. I know I teased something a little bit earlier. Got something really cool in the pipeline I'm working on. A lot about, all I can say is that it's it'll be like a deep look into hockey tactics. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, be sure to follow me over there because yeah, that'll be announced over the summer. And then also follow the Leafs Nation on Twitter. I believe the Twitter account is at TLN or TL Nation at TLNDC. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get booted from this network already. Holy smokes! Apologies, guys. At TLNDC, go follow the Leafs Nation on Twitter, and then also go follow Zack Phillips on Twitter as well. What are you guys doing? If you're not already doing that, it's at Zack Phil. Make sure you're following him, and then also make sure you subscribe here. Make sure you smash that like button. We're gonna be back here Saturday after the game versus Buffalo. Happy Easter to all who celebrate, guys. Thank you so much for having me on the show here today. This has been Jason Cooper signing off for the Leafs Nation After Dark. We'll see you guys next time.